would you mind just telling us a little bit about what Wheelchair Rugby League is for those who don't know? What's like a quick initiation on what it is?
Yeah, so we tend to describe it as it's as close to the running game as you can get. The only difference is you've got tags instead of physically tackling somebody, and you're kicking the ball with your hands rather than your feet. It's all still the same rules, 6 tackles, still the same points, and that's it really.
And what about who plays the game? What makes that so unique?
So the fact that it's mixed, so you have a mixture of able-bodied players and players with disabilities, but you also have a mixture of male and female players. So within Leeds and England, the rest of my teammates are male, and I'm the only female currently in those setups.
What's that like?
It's fun, it's interesting. I have 5 brothers, so I am used to taking a little bit of a hit. I think some of the guys we play against are a little bit scared of me on the pitch, but no, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's definitely something different.
You just mentioned there about taking a hit, but also on the pitch it's quite physical as well, sport, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. On the pitch, obviously, in running game you've got people tackling with their bodies. We have obviously that element, but you've got a metal chair that is also in between you, so depending on how you've taken that hit, you can bounce straight back up or you can get injured. It is a very full-on contact sport.
Obviously, the Rugby League World Cup is taking place next year. First time men's, women's, and wheelchair come together. Some incredible venues on the list. What does it feel like to potentially play the likes of the Copper Box, etc.?
Like the fact that, again, the Copper Box, it's always been, ever since the Paralympics, it was a big venue for wheelchair basketball, and now to actually bring in Rugby League to that venue, and things like the M&S Bank Arena, I think it's 11,000 is the seating capacity, and to think that the sport can grow so much from when I first started playing to now, where we're having venues like that potentially I'll be playing in, it's amazing, it's mind-blowing.
What's it going to be like to potentially have so many thousands of people watching you playing the game?
Scary. Although, some of our games do draw a decent amount of people and crowds, I don't think we've ever had anything close to 11,000. So the very thought of that is quite daunting, but at the same time, it's a chance for us to show people what the game's about, and these are potentially people who have never watched wheelchair. Or only have limited knowledge. To see it played out on such a stage like M&S Bank Arena, it's mind-blowing again.
It's quite something to look forward to. Obviously, what was your journey to this point? Like, how have you ended up potentially getting there next year?
Mine was a very strange journey. It's not quite the same as a lot of my teammates in the fact that I played wheelchair basketball to begin with, and we were looking for something to do in the off season, and that's where Wheelchair Rugby League came from, and I hated it. I could not stand it. It was too much for me. I didn't like the fact we used our hands for everything, and over a course of about a year my mindset started to change. My granddad is a very big rugby league follower and fan, and I started speaking to him, and we looked at the comparisons between the running game, because I couldn't do running game. It was never going to be something I would be taking part in, and we slowly transitioned into my mindset of going, yeah, okay, I'm going to give it a go. I know there's blokes who are like twice my size and things like that, but I was adamant I hadn't give it a fair shot the first time round, and from there I went through a very staggered journey of, it was a stop-start. I would play for a little bit, then I had enough, and it was only when I was approached and asked if I wanted to come up to Leeds and play for Leeds that I started taking it a bit more serious. And my international journey actually started with representing Ireland in 2013. So that was just a chance to showcase my talent and show everybody that actually, yes, I'm here, I'm taking it seriously, and I'm a player. And it was the following year that I went for England trials, and the rest is pretty much history. I've just been working hard the same as everyone else, but I feel as a female player in a squad full of men, you've got a little bit more to prove. And people look at me off the pitch, oh, she wouldn't do it, she wouldn't hurt a fly and things like that, and yet on the pitch I'm a completely different person, and a lot of that is actually down to my teammates as well. I think they've toughened me up. But to have the journey that I've had in the last 7 years, we relocated from my hometown to Leeds so that I could play this sport, and we haven't looked back since. And I know with my family especially, they are more than happy to relocate to wherever we need to in order for me to progress my career, both at domestic level and international level. And looking at 2021, that's the kind of end goal for me. I always joke that I'll retire after 2021. Probably not. I will keep going until my body decides it's not going to be a thing anymore, but that's been the main goal for several years now, even before the whole fanfare behind 2021, which is great. It's always been my end goal is 2021, see where we're at, maybe take a little bit of a step back and start pushing up the younger players, and especially getting more females into wheelchair rugby league as well is a big aim of mine for the future of the game. So yeah, it's a pretty weird journey.
I mean, one could probably assume that having a platform that it's got in 2021, that the idea of getting more players, and particularly more female players, to play wheelchair rugby league, there's no better time than next year for
exactly. That is 2021, and the platform that we have got already leading up to it is brilliant. And using that platform, I think a lot of people don't quite realise what the sport is and what it's about. They tend to think, oh well, how do you play rugby league in a wheelchair? And especially with the contact side of it, I do know a lot of female players who want to give it a go, and are a bit concerned about that, but to have it showcased as a sport, and hopefully if I'm there to showcase that actually as a female player you can play at the same standard as your counterparts in the team, that in the future this game's going to keep growing and we will get newer players and female players, which I think currently there are 3 international female players in the UK, and that's myself with England, there is Lucy with Wales and Jay with Scotland, and that is it for international female players. So even if we were to double that, it's still progress, and it's one of those things, it's going to be progressing over the next few years, and the more people that know about it, the more that will maybe look and go, oh, I want to give that a go.
There's no other sports, is there, where men and women can play on the same team against each other?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is that not a big incentive for women to play?
Well, you'd think so. I think a lot of it is the contact side of it, and don't get me wrong, you have to be very thick-skinned. But I know there's probably a handful of sports, especially wheelchair sports, that potentially it is mixed teams. But I do know that the uniqueness within wheelchair rugby league is that it's mixed, and that you have got both those able-bodied and disabled players playing together, and hopefully, again, showcasing that using that platform for 2021, more people go, actually, this isn't too bad. And we might find that in the next couple of years it's a 2% increase in players, it might be a 10%, but either way we need to get the game out there for people to actually know what it is and know what we're about.